I get it, you're staring at a long list of lithium batteries and wondering if you're about to drop a few $100s on something that will just sit in the garage while you keep hunting for the right power source. You've probably already heard the buzz about 12V 600Ah LiFePO4 packs, but you're also aware of those horror stories where a battery doesn't hold up on a cold morning or the BMS fries the whole system. You want to know whether this Vatra power unit actually delivers on its promises for an RV, a tiny off-grid cabin, a boat, or a home backup, and you don't want to end up with a nice-looking box that you can't use the way you need. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. So let's walk through the real-world stuff that matters after you pull this thing out of the box, not just the headline numbers. First off, the capacity claim 600Ah at 12V translates to about 7.2 kilowatt-hours of usable energy, and the specs say you can stack them up to a maximum of roughly 122.8 kilowatt-hours if you ever needed that kind of endurance. In practice, that means a typical motorhome running a 2 kilowatts inverter can expect around 3 to 4 hours of continuous power before the voltage drops to the low-cut threshold. For most RV owners who use a combination of solar panels and a generator, that's enough to run the fridge, lights, a small air conditioner, and a laptop while you're parked at a campsite without cranking the engine every few hours. I've seen a friend who installed a single 600Ah unit on his 30-foot RV. He reported that his daily solar harvest of about 4 kilowatt-hours was enough to keep the battery in the 7,080% state of charge most nights, and he only needed the generator for a quick top-up on cloudy days. The built-in 300A BMS is where the safety claim really matters. LiFePO4 chemistry is inherently stable, but a poorly designed BMS can let a cell get over-discharged or overcharged, leading to permanent loss of capacity. This pack's BMS monitors each cell individually and cuts off charging if the temperature climbs above 167 F, about 75 C. In a hot summer on a boat's deck, that high temp cutoff prevents the charger from pushing dangerous current into a warming pack, which is something you'll appreciate if you ever dock in a tropical port. On the flip side, the low temp cutoff protects the cells from going below 0 F, 18 C. That's useful for winter camping, but it also means you can't expect to charge the battery from a standard charger if the ambient temperature is below freezing. You'll need a battery heater or a charger with built-in low temp compensation. One of the nicer practical features is the companion app. It streams voltage, current, state of charge, and even the temperature of the pack in real time to your phone. For someone who lives in a remote cabin and wants to know whether the solar array is filling the battery fast enough, that instant feedback can save you from a night of darkness. The app also sends a warm prompt warning if you try to use the pack as a starter battery, something the spec explicitly warns against. Trying to crank a diesel engine with a lithium pack that isn't designed for the high burst currents can damage the BMS, so that reminder actually prevents a costly mistake. Now, let's talk about the charging flexibility. The battery supports 3 methods: solar MPPT, AC charger, and DC charger, like from a vehicle alternator. That means you can hook it up to a 200W solar panel, a 600W AC charger, or even the alternator of a larger boat while you're sailing. In practice, you'll likely use a combination. A common setup I've seen is a 400W solar array feeding the pack during daylight, with an AC charger handling the evening top-up. The fast charging capability means you can get a full charge in about 68 hours from a 600W charger, which is handy if you have limited shore power at a marina. So who should actually buy this? If you own an RV that runs 30+ hours between hookups, a tiny off-grid home that already has solar panels but needs more storage than a 200Ah lead-acid bank can provide, or a boat where weight matters but you also need a reliable high-current source for navigation lights and a fridge, this battery makes sense. The expandable design lets you start with a single unit and add more later as your power needs grow. For a homeowner looking to back up a few lights and a sump pump, a 600Ah pack is overkill and probably too expensive. If you're just after a cheap starter battery for a small gasoline engine, you'll be disappointed. This pack explicitly isn't meant for cranking, and the BMS will cut you off before you even get the engine to turn over. Now the downsides. The biggest one is cost. A single 12V 600Ah LiFePO4 pack sits in the high three-figure range, which can be a barrier if you're on a tight budget. Compared to a comparable lead-acid bank, the upfront price is steep.